Welcome to the Electric Playground. Today on the show, we're hunting terrorists and replicants with Rainbow Six and Blade Runner.
Plus, we catch up with DC Comics editor Mark Doyle to get the scoop on all the new Robin comics.
And then we rock out with our full review of Rock Band 4. Also coming up, we head to Neverland with a behind-the-scenes look at Pan. Stephen Raju relived the rise of the Empire in Disney Infinity and much more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EB Games. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, bringing you the latest in everything cool every single day. Moments can be lost in time like tears in the rain, but one thing that lasts forever is the rundown. The siege at the end of the rainbow is looking a little light on story. Ubisoft has confirmed that Rainbow Six Siege will not have a single-player story campaign and will be multiplayer only. There will still be a story in the game, which will see the Rainbow Six counterterrorism team take on a new group of bad guys called the White Masks, but the entire thing will play out over the backdrop of the online multiplayer. All of the previous games in the series had single-player stories, although there seemed to be a stronger emphasis on multiplayer in some of the more recent outings. Rainbow Six Siege recently wrapped up a closed beta test where players got to try out several of the online modes. Hopefully the multiplayer will be enough to satisfy players when the full version makes contact on December 1st.
Got him. Cool.
It looks like the sequel to Blade Runner has already won over one of its biggest skeptics. Original Blade Runner star Harrison Ford says that the script for the new movie is one of the best that he's ever read. That's according to the original film's director, Ridley Scott. Speaking with Yahoo Movies, Scott said that Ford was reluctant to reprise his role for the sequel, but he was able to win him over after he read the screenplay. The new Blade Runner won't actually be directed by Ridley Scott. He'll serve as producer, with Prisoners and Sicario director Denis Villeneuve set to helm. Shooting begins next year, so audiences can expect to see Blade Runner 2 in 2017.
I need the old Blade Runner.
Blade Runner and Rainbow Six, are you kidding me? I get to talk about those with my pal Scott Jones. Blade Runner 2.
Yeah.
Look at this frown.
No, why?
It's already frown
What's the
time.
thing? I'm just worried about Blade Runner going forward. Such a terrific moment, such an isolated moment. There's never been any extensions.
100 movies.
Can we expect the same level of craft from the second movie? I don't understand this hyperbole about this being the best script ever. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
But I'm skeptical going into this.
I think that's probably the right, sort of attitude to approach this movie with. I think skepticism for sure, but we'll see. Now, Rainbow Six Siege, they're taking single player off the table. It's multiplayer focused only. What do you think about that?
Terrible idea. I'll tell you why. Titanfall, you look at that, and it just went through our systems so quickly. And I think, even if you look at something tremendously successful like the Call of Duty franchise, they always wedge a little single player in there. I complain about it every year, but what it does is it's a bigger meal if you have the single player in there as well.
Yeah.
And it makes it stay on your dinner table for a few beats longer. And I think in the age we live in which everything is flash, we're swiping, we're moving on, we're scrolling to the next web page, next video game, it leaves the table too quickly and it means less and it's worth less.
Yeah, and Battlefront is doing the same thing. They're not really giving us a single player campaign. And arguably the Star Wars Battlefront games of the past didn't really focus too much on single player, but Rainbow Six did, and I used to love playing the single-player campaigns in Rainbow Six because it's a real deep dive into a world that scares the hell out of me, and the authenticity and the sense of realism is really superb in that series, and I think you get a really great sense of what it's like to be one of these tactical, SWAT-type dudes out there. And I'm going to miss that there's no single player. I know that I am. We'll see how Rainbow Six Siege does. But right now it's time to celebrate the 75th anniversary of our favorite sidekick, at least mine, Robin. Mark Doyle is the group editor on all of the Bat books, and this year is a very big year for someone we all know and love, Robin. It's the 75th anniversary of Robin. You guys are celebrating in a bunch of different ways, right?
Absolutely. We're very excited to be talking about our new ongoing weekly book, Batman and Robin Eternal, which starts in October, and we've got 2 brand new Robin books that are out on stands right now, We Are Robin and Robin, Son of Batman. We also have Robin War is starting in December, so that's going to be a big Robin crossover event.
For people that don't know, and this was new to me, I have to admit, what is We Are Robin all about?
We Are Robin is it's a brand new book starring brand new characters, a bunch of teenagers in Gotham who sort of take the mantle of Robin, and make it their own. And it becomes a movement of young people in Gotham saying, we're taking this and we're going to do things the way that we want to do it. And of course, they get into trouble. But for right now, they're a team of teenagers who are trying to do the right thing.
I've been a huge fan of the Batman and Robin series for the last number of years, and I love Damian Wayne, but I'm a Dick Grayson purist. I love the guy. He's incredible.
Great character.
It sounds like you are going to honor all of the different types of Robins.
Absolutely. That's the idea. I mean, everybody has their Robin who they love, and we sort of figure, well, why not celebrate all of them? Because they all have great different attributes, and they're very different characters in their own right. So hopefully, if you're whatever your Robin is, whoever your Robin is, we have a book for you.
Why has Robin endured for 75 years?
He's the first sidekick, which I think is really interesting. And I mean, look, most people start reading comics when they're teenagers. So Robin is your in. Robin is the guy who you can look at and say, like, oh, I get him. You know, he looks up to Batman, but he's also his own guy, and he's strong, and he can kind of stand on his own. Everybody loves Robin. I love Robin, so I'm just happy to be doing more and more Robin stuff for sure.
Man, I'm so looking forward to diving into those Robin books. I've always loved that character.
You know, I keep waiting for Tommy Tallarico books. He was your teenage sidekick for a long time.
And now you're my teenage sidekick.
Listen, we've got to take a break, but when we come back, we've got a behind-the-scenes look at Pan after this.
I'm afraid of heights.
What? You can fly!
Yesterday was my first time.
Well, you better fly again, or we're all gonna fall for the last time.
I want to know what happened to the plans they sent you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
Hi, I'm Andrea Romano. And when I saw Star Wars, the first movie, there was so much hubbub about it, and it was so grand, and everybody went to see it, and it was so important. And I went to see it, and I remember thinking, this is special. This is something different. And then as the actors got more and more famous over the years, and it had sequels and whatnot, and I realized this is a world. This is not just an event. This is a world.
It's not true. That's impossible!
And as I was casting Batman the Animated Series some 25 years ago, I get a phone call from Mark Hamill's agent saying he wanted to be a part of the Batman series. And I thought, I'm getting a phone call from a famous Star Wars actor who wants to play with me. And so we worked it out. He came in and did a guest star, and then he came in and became the Joker for us. And so I'm very grateful that I first learned of him through Star Wars.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Oh man, much love and respect to Andrea Romano. Love that one.
Yeah, our friend Peter Pan is back in theaters, and this is not the Peter Pan, you know, with Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams. They dropped Dustin Hoffman, dropped Robin Williams, and dropped the Peter.
Oh.
Here's a behind-the-scenes look at Pan.
The little one. He wears the pan.
This film is an origin story of Peter Pan. It's a prequel that takes place before the events of Barry's book, and it essentially tells the story of a young orphan named Peter who was dropped off in an orphanage in London when he was a baby. He's never met his mother, doesn't know where he's from, doesn't know why he was deposited there.
I love you, my Peter. And he opens up the curtain and there's a letter, and so he reads it, and it's from his mother. And so that's when he starts to think, oh, she's still alive. And then when he's taken it to Neverland, he's all scared and he's like, no, no, she's waiting for me. But then he realizes he has still a bit of the note, and like in this world or another. And so that's, in Neverland is the other. And so he begins to think, maybe it's here.
Is it from your mum? What does she say?
I can't. Will you read it?
The reason I like Blackbeard is, yeah, he's scary and he will take your head off in a moment's notice and probably enjoy it, actually. He loves his life. He loves being a pirate, and he's terrified of losing it. And at the same time, in our story, our version of the story in Neverland, he's been around for a long time.
For I have sprung you from life's cruel dungeon, and hereby grant you liberty!
Peter, in a way, within that, a boy beyond his years, and so smart and so bold and willing to take chances, and everybody just falls in love with him.
Yeah! We're sailing now!
It is a brilliant origin story, you know? They did such a brilliant job writing the story. There's definitely something in it for every age group, and it is so hopeful, and I don't know, it's magical, and I think they did such a brilliant job with the script, with all the characters and all the elements, and the starting off in the orphanage. I mean, it's really a beautiful story.
The prophecy tells of a boy born of the love between a fairy prince and a human girl.
Hey, you know what else they dropped out of that movie?
What's that?
There's no Julia Roberts playing a jealous Tink.
You are right. There is no jealous Tink in that movie. Well, listen, coming up, we review Rock Band 4 after this.
So this is the game that almost bankrupted Rhode Island and put one of many dark clouds over Kurt Schilling. That guy is always in the news with some new controversy or another. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning is the title. And yes, even though this isn't the best RPG I've ever played, I really dug the pace of the game, and it's sort of open world, analogous to an MMO type of experience.
Thank Matharu, another survivor. Are there any more?
I really liked the ambition that was on display with this title. It was really, really fun to play. The compulsion loops were really addictive. You really got into collecting all of the loot and exploring different parts of the environment. They did a lot of backstory, a lot of lore for this title. It felt rich, and it felt like you were getting your money's worth all the way along. And it did feel like the beginning of something, and it's too bad that it didn't turn out that way. We'll probably never see anything ever again from the Amalur universe. It stands as a testament to overreaching and overspending to build your title, but it certainly has its value, and it's certainly a buried treasure in my book.
Ooh, nice choice there, Victor Lucas. That Kurt Schilling, he's been through a lot, including having blood on his socks that he has to clean up. Anyway, we're going to Toronto now. Stephen Roger here with even more Disney Infinity toys. Wow.
We are living in the age of connected toys, or the toys to life genre, or as I like to call it, the toys that want to kick my wallet in the ass genre. Today we are looking at Disney Infinity 3.0 Rise Against the Empire expansion play set. So for all you out there, basically, particularly if you are old Star Wars fans, this is the one that you want because it has our classic films.
That was 1 in a million.
Disney Infinity 3.0 came out in late August, being the one that incorporates Star Wars into the mix. For me, this is really the launch of this game because I know the Clone Wars is great. I know people love the animated series, but Anakin and Ahsoka, they're not my Star Wars. My Star Wars is Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie.
Oh, you mean real Star Wars?
Real Star Wars.
Right,
and that's what we're getting in this playset.
Yes.
Whatever you say, Princess. Let's go.
So this is a $35 expansion on top of the original game, and it comes with Luke, Leia, and that little ball. What do they call it? Oh, the Death Star, right? Right, the Death Star. And then, of course, it's about $15 for any additional characters you might want, like, oh, I don't know, Han Solo,
like you gotta have Han and Chewie.
Chewbacca, you know. So
let's put the price out there.
This is my big problem with sort of all of these games. This is why I try and actually keep them away from my daughter, because in for a penny, in for a pound with these things, right? Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole business model here, right? Like, you unlock new characters and new vehicles and new worlds by buying the physical toys. And the physical toys, especially with the Disney Infinity line, are cool unto themselves. The figures are nicely sculpted. There's sort of that stylized, kind of animated look to the characters, and they're nice. But see, being a childless, barren adult, I don't have to worry about that. I got lots of disposable income. I'm gonna go down the store. I'm gonna buy me a Han. I'm gonna buy me a Chewie. I was gonna Vader and a Boba Fett and a Yoda in there, and the whole game's gonna sit on my desk.
The Empire did this.
Hold on, everyone. We're caught in a tractor beam.
I think that there's a bit more polish in these games. I still do think that, you know, your sweet spot with this is what, like maybe 8 to 12? And playing with your kids, absolutely. They are very, very easy to control. There is some camera control. At some points there isn't, to keep that sort of that kid-friendly thing down.
I did not appreciate some of the previous Disney Infinity stuff. This I actually enjoyed playing through, and it's because it's Star Wars. This is like Tatooine and Hoth and Endor are places I know. They're places that speak to me, so I think if this was just a generic space adventure, I'd have very little interest in it.
Well, are you saying this is the Disney Infinity you're looking for?
All right, that's it. Touché. On that note, what are you gonna give Rise Against the Empire?
7.5 out of 10.
Actually, a little bit more than that, 8 for me.
Oh, nice job there, my Toronto bros. But now we've got to go to my Vancouver bros because you see, they like to rock out. Here's their review of Rock Band 4.
Many a rock band has played that arena over there behind us, but now you can bring Rock Band right back into your living room. Rock Band 4 is here. Scott Jones and I have been rocking out together. What did you think, my friend?
We are veterans of the Rock Band series, previously known as Guitar Hero, before it kind of evolved into Rock Band.
That's right, because Harmonix worked on all of those,
That's right, they did. And Rock Band, I was a huge fan in the beginning. The big question with this game is, am I still a huge fan now? A little bit of time has passed. Technology has changed. Let's face it, Vic, the world has changed.
It has.
Do we still want Rock Band in our lives? Do we still want all these peripherals? Do we want these tracks? Do we want to keep playing these kinds of games?
Well, I think the answer is yes with an asterisk, and I think that Harmonix is smart enough to understand that there is a fan base out there for this franchise. There's also a new audience, potential audience, that have picked up a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One that may not have jumped into the music rhythm genre before, may not have that collection of instruments.
We had a little band, and the name of which the game gave us, it was Premature Barf, I think. I'm not exactly sure on that. Don't quote me on that. But we got back into it, and, you know, you can kind of feel your fingers physically working. I played guitar. Vic is on drums and vocals. That's the way our band always works. And I started working the keys, and I could feel my hand, like the old muscle memory is still there. And you have to kind of wake up your hand. And once it got woken up again, I was back into it. I was shredding. I was getting stars everywhere. I was setting off all kinds of explosions, and then I felt like I did this already, and I did this probably the last time 4 years ago, and I'm not sure, Vic, if I personally need to do this again.
Okay, and I totally understand that. What's new this time, I think, is especially relevant to the guitar. All of the instruments have been improved thanks to a partnership that they have with Mad Catz. So the mic is a better sounding mic.
You sounded great.
Thanks, pal. Thank you. The drums perform a little bit better. I thought the kickback on the drums was a lot better. And there are now new note keys that you can hit to guitar solo at the bottom of the neck on the guitar, and the guitar feels sturdier as well. And the guitar solo, I think, is the biggest new addition to the game.
It is. You're exactly right. That's the biggest tangible improvement to the game. But the rest of the game is almost exactly the same. There are little subtle things, because you played a lot of Rock Band, that you will appreciate, but it's exactly the same. And you know what? I got to tell you, I got rid of all my instruments. I was done with it. Of course, I live alone, and the cats can't really play the instruments, so why do I need the drums and the vocals and the guitar? But, however...
I want you to stream your cats on guitar and drums someday, though.
But I got rid of all of them, and I decided I'm living a clean, Rock Band-free life. And now all this stuff is back again, and it's in my house. I don't know if I need it, Vic. And I think a lot of people out there watching this will feel the same.
Watch your tongue or have it cut from your head. Save your life by keeping whispers unsaid.
You know what I'm happy about, though? I got to confess, Suspicious Minds is in there.
Yeah,
I've always loved that, and I couldn't tell you yesterday when we were playing. I'm like, just pick Suspicious Minds. I want to hear that.
Oh, it's a great song.
It is a great song.
But, you know, that's
like
the thing.
it too.
Yeah, I picked 10 tunes that I really liked, and I heard them over and over again. And then I started my tour, and I was playing through, and it's like, oh my God, I got to play these songs again. And it kind of forces you in a position of like hating the songs that you had first loved. And that has got to change with these music game things. They should be full-on celebrations of your personal taste all the way through.
And some of the aesthetics feel really out of touch. The guy that it defaults to as your lead singer, even during songs that have female vocals, sometimes is that old Jerry Garcia fit skinny guy. I don't know what he's doing in there. But the whole thing, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to wait and see what happens when Guitar Hero comes out. I'm looking forward to that.
We'll do a head-to-head on that.
Yeah,
too.
and so Rock Band is here, but it's not exactly what I wanted. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Little behind the scenes info for you. Not only does Victor Lucas like to rock, he also is a pretty good dancer as well. Catch him at the next wedding you're at. Don't go anywhere because we've got a Twitter question of the day after this.
If you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv, for bonus content and full episodes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the Electric Playground. It's time for our Twitter question of the day. This one's from Cliff Shane. Do you like games where the storyline is predetermined or where you can decide where it's going more? But they always know where it's going, though.
They do, even if you have the kind of story that you're figuring out as you go through the game, like the Walking Dead game or like any of the games that Telltale is making these days.
I guess the flip of it would be a Grand Theft Auto or a Skyrim. You know, where they're a little bit more open-ended. You can go on missions as you want to.
I like narrative direction. I feel like that's really why I play games at all. I play games for narrative direction, I play games for some character, and I play games for the great gameplay. But I don't really love, and I know you love them, the Telltale games as much as I love games that already have a story that's in place when I start the damn thing.
And I guess he's asking what we prefer. I mean, my favorite franchise recently is the Arkham games, which are really open world, but also very focused on the narrative.
Very focused. Like, you want to do the narrative stuff, then get back to having fun. Narrative, then fun.
Good question. If you've got one for us or you want to get caught up on the show, head to our website, epn.tv.
And coming soon to EP Daily, we take a behind-the-scenes look at the new IMAX film, The Walk. Thanks for watching.
EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox. EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Asphalt 8 Airborne, which you can play on your Android or iOS device for free right now.
This was sincerely one of those roles that felt so particularly tailored to my desires and individual talents. In the early 70s, when he was in his early 20s, before the World Trade Center was even finished being built, he saw in a magazine an article about these towers, and he drew this little pencil stroke between them and said, I'm gonna hang a high wire between those two towers and I'm gonna walk on it. And it was years